Husband's been sneaking out to meet his mistress during business trips in cities I didn't even know he visited, which is a ridiculous sentence to say out loud if you're anyone with self-respect and a decent calendar. And yet here I am. Hi, I'm Mara, 33, a forensic accountant who spends her days following money like it gossips and somehow missed the plot twist living in my own suitcase of a marriage. It starts stupidly, as betrayals love to do, with a loyalty program I didn't sign up for. Tuesday evening, left sock still unpaired in the dryer. I'm hunting a receipt from 2 weeks back because our health insurance wants proof of out-of-network tetanus, and I can't resent that when my job is literally asking for more paperwork with color-coded tabs. Amir, not an uncommon name but a very particular shoulder shape I can find in a crowd, texts that he's boarding for Dallas. Dallas, I know. Dallas is on the spreadsheet we share, the one with tabs like Q3 travel, cat sitter, and my personal favorite, remember to remember. His sent a photo of a wingtip through a terminal window, dusk smearing purple on the glass. There's his thumb in the corner. He never notices when his thumb photobombs, I always do. He writes, back Friday. Love you. Don't let Fig eat the basil. I open our email to find the doctor's bill and because I'm a raccoon with shiny things, click on congratulations. Your Prestige Air miles are on their way. I stare. Prestige Air is not the airline we use. We're faithful to one that hands out Biscoff like quiet apologies. The email is not mine, well it is, but to the address we use for warranty junk and discount candles. Prestige Air thanks a Kasim for reaching gold. Gold requires 20 flights. We have not flown 20 flights this year unless I blacked out during 3 separate conferences on municipal fraud, which, gotta be honest, would not be the worst way to lose consciousness. I should say, in case the universe is collecting formal statements, I'm good at catching liars. Or I thought I was. Numbers are tattletales, they never stop whispering. I've pulled apart shell companies like knotted necklaces. I've found vacations sitting quietly inside office supplies. I once caught a CFO's boat because he called it depreciation. Depreciation had teak decking and a bar that made my craft beer friends cry. So I click View Account, which is stupid because this account is not mine, and then it's not stupid because my password manager cheerfully autofills an email and a password for Prestige Air. I have a password manager because I am a woman who believes in order in backups and not trusting memory, and because I'm married to a man who says things like we'll remember and I say we won't and then I tuck the remembering in a vault. The Prestige Air account opens like a shrug and there it is. A list of flights to cities where we do not have cousins, conferences, or cravings. Bozeman. Montreal. Santa Fe. A blink of Nashville. A shy little rope of Hartford to LaGuardia that makes no sense because if you were going to New York from where we live you'd just go. None of this is Dallas, though Dallas is also there, all proper and alibied. My brain, traitor that it is, immediately tries to make this innocent. Maybe he booked for a colleague. Maybe Prestige Air counts phantom legs. Maybe gold is a scam, like those emails from a prince who needs your routing number. I click boarding passes. Screenshots bloom, each with a seat assignment he likes, each with his middle initial, each with the gentle assertion of a habit. Seat 11C if is tired enough to sit by the aisle. He loves the aisle, says it feels like a plan. I cross-reference the dates with our calendar. The calendar is a polite liar, it says Dallas while the miles say Montreal. My mouth tastes like batteries. I don't call him. I am a professional, I gather. I open the credit card portal we share and scroll transactions we've both looked at 100 times without actually seeing them. Our joint card, groceries, pet food, streaming, the occasional fancy cheese because I won a case and felt tall. His corporate card, hotel names, car rentals, restaurants where the salad names are poems. But there, like a glittering breadcrumb, is a repeated charge in the merchants I always skim past. A florist in Santa Fe with a name that sounds like a whispered secret. A wine bar in Montreal, Dux Pierre's. A bookstore whose receipts say thank you, come again someday. I click 1. The itemized detail pops up because some manager with a conscience checked include notes. The note reads, full Lena, peonies, no baby's breath. And look, maybe Lena is short for client luncheon's informal need assessment, but probably not. I print. There's something about paper that turns a feeling into a thing. The printer coughs and whirs like our house is trying to warn me. I lay the pages out on the kitchen table the way my mother used to lay out fabric before she cut a dress. Flat palms, smooth out the creases, learn the shape of the thing you're about to make irreversible. Our cat, Fig, jumps up, disapproves, and sits on Bozeman. Night falls the way it does, like someone dimmed the world with 2 fingers. My phone lights up with landed. He sends a hotel photo, big bed, beige art, those lamps that forget how to be pretty. Client dinner, early meeting. You okay, he texts. I stare at the peonies. I think about the way he says you okay when I am very much not, and the way my mouth still says yeah, because being a woman sometimes feels like narrating your own power outage. I answer, yeah. You. He replies a thumbs up. I watch it float there like a lifeboat made of foam. The next morning, I call my friend Nisha because she is the person I call when I want to remain a person. She's an ER-ness, which means she is unafraid of blood or the truth. I tell her half prestige, gold peonies. I do not say mistress because I am not ready for the word to make a campsite in my mouth. She says, you want me to say you're overreacting, or do you want me to say I'll bring the bat? I say, start with data, save the bat for later. She says, okay, little investigator, then don't confront without backup. You know this. You teach this. Gather what you need to not be gaslit by your own kindness. I love her enough to write that on a post-it. Don't be gaslit by your own kindness. There is an art to looking without breaking laws or your own bones. Amir is not secretive, he's just boring about security. The iPad on the counter is signed into our shared cloud. In photos in a folder I didn't know existed because Apple is nosy on your behalf, there are shared with you images. A dinner plate, a city skyline, a dog in a sweater, a hand not his, holding a coffee next to a book I recognize because I own it and underlined something mean in it. The hand has a small scar near the thumb and a ring that isn't a ring so much as a circle of hammered metal. The caption, you always order the thing with olives. His reply, you always pick the olives out. This is not the worst dialogue I've ever read, but it hurts in a way only mediocre romance can. I scroll. The cities match the miles. Montreal, there is a mural with a woman whose hair is birds. Santa Fe, there is a wall in sunlight so golden you can taste it. Nashville, there is a napkin with a heart on it because humans are nothing if not committed to cliches when they are trying to be brave in the wrong direction. The sender signs some of them with a camera emoji and 3 dots like to be continued. One message reads, you left your notebook, it smells like you. Which, for the record, is a thing I have never said to him because it's not in my poetry, but oh, it is a thing I feel, and that doubling my intimacy said back to him by someone else makes something very quiet inside me crack. I make a folder named Facts. I put in screenshots. I put in flight lists. I put in the florist's no baby's breath. I go to work and do my job extremely well because the only thing worse than your life being on fire is setting your work on fire too. At lunch, I walk around the block and name what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to follow him to Dallas or Montreal or any airport like an unpaid extra in my own humiliation. I'm not going to message her from his phone and stain my mouth with someone else's script. I'm not going to turn this into a play where I perform the cool girl who understands. I am going to ask for nouns. When he gets home Friday, I've set the kitchen to civilized interrogation. 2 glasses of water. Chairs at an angle that reads compassionate but not cuddly. Fig has finally vacated Bozeman and is sitting on the fridge like a gargoyle. Amir comes in rolling his carry-on like a confession. He is sun-creased and tired and handsome in the way that molecularly infuriates me. He kisses the top of my head like he's clocking into a ritual. I step back. He clocks that. You found something, he says, which is not the line most men take, but my husband knows what I do for a living. He knows I'm the woman companies hire when they need their lies folded into origami swans so the board will swallow them. He knows better than to reach for here with me. Yes, I say, and not what makes you say that. I slide the papers. He looks. He doesn't act the fool. He doesn't say, it's not what it looks like because it looks like exactly what it is. He says nothing for a long 30 seconds and then, her name is Lena. The first time you hear the name that's been eating your life, It is less sound and more weather. Lena. The vowel stays in the room after you say it. I picture peonies because I'm petty and because flowers are essentially expensive metaphors, and I can't help it that metaphors are my mother tongue. How long, I ask, filling in the form the way I would in an intake interview. Where did you meet? Which trip was first? What did you tell me then? There are versions of this where I throw a glass and become a meme. I don't want to be a meme. I want not to lose my intelligence just because someone else misplaced theirs. He sits. He is a builder, he knows about foundations, so he starts there. February, he says. A vendor symposium. I stayed after the closing keynote because they had this musician and she is, a cellist. I hate that it sounds like a movie. She asked me about the piece. I said something about roofs, about timber, like a fool. I don't know why we started. I only know I kept showing up. The first time I lied was Nashville. Then Montreal. The miles make it a countable thing. That's not how it felt. And how did it feel, I ask, not because I want a sliver of romance to stab me, but because I want the full shape of the stupidity he built. Like being a version of myself I forgot, he says, which is the cheating man's thesis statement. Like somebody looked at me and didn't see spreadsheets. Like music, I guess. He grimaces at his own hallmark. I'm not romantic, Mara. You know that. I was scared about Dallas, about the promotion. I should have told you that. You were buried in the municipal case. We stopped, he gestures, searching for a word that isn't touching or talking, because both are indictments and invitations. We stopped narrating, he says finally. And she, Lena, kept asking. I ask, I say, and the room tilts. I ask all the time. You pass me in the hallway and say, long day, and I say, just numbers, and you say, you're so good, and then we climb into bed like it's a boat we're both rowing and we forget to look up. I ask, Amir. You didn't pick up. He nods because what else do you do when the indictment arrives with footnotes? Are you in love with her, I ask, because we're here, because we're grown-ups who put names on things or we go home empty-handed? He is careful. I don't know what to call it, he says, and I notice that he doesn't reach for my hand, which is merciful of him. It's not just sex. It's not just a crisis. It is, what do you call it when you're in a room with a window you didn't know opened? He winces. I hate how that sounds. I hate that I sound like a man who thinks he invented longing. Do you want to leave, I ask. The question lands like a brick. The cat lifts one eyelid. He breathes like somebody taught him. He looks at me for a long time and I realize we are not the only people in this room. Every version of ourselves is here too, 25 and stupidly hopeful, 29 and buying a couch with real legs, 31 and bringing casseroles to my mother when she was recovering, 32 and wandering a museum in Rome, daring each other to be sincere. He says, I don't want to leave. But I wanted something I didn't ask you for. That's the part that scares me. Not the wanting. The not asking. Then here's the price of staying, I say, because I have a spine, because there is a difference between mercy and martyrdom, and I am fully employed elsewhere. You end it. Not performatively. Not with a gift bag. You end it like you end rot cut to clean wood. You give me passwords to any account that breathes. You move out for a while, not to her, not to a hotel, to Kian's spare room or your brother's couch, so we listen with our mouths closed. We hire a therapist who scares you a little. You give me a detailed map of where the lying started and where it likes to hide. And you agree that if you're going to break this for good, you do it in daylight, not with a drip of weekends. He nods. He looks older. He gets up, washes his glass, dries it, puts it away because rituals matter on the day you detonate. He says, I'll call her now, and I say, not here, because I don't want another woman's weather in our kitchen. He leaves. I do not collapse. I sag the way a tent does when the pole has given up, still a structure but only barely. I call Nisha. Her voice is aspirin and asphalt. She says, do you want me to come sit on your floor and make fun of his sock drawer? And I say yes, and she arrives with dumplings and the good soy sauce and a ridiculous reality show where people renovate vans in places that don't need vans. We don't speak Lena's name. We talk about silly things. She keeps me from Googling the florist. She tells me to eat. I do. Chewing is embarrassing, but it works. The therapist is named Celine and has an office with a rug that looks like it has opinions. She asks the questions people trot out too late. When did you stop being interesting to each other? What jobs did you take on that you never applied for? What did you believe you were protecting when you lied? And the one that almost makes me leave the room. Mara, what do you want besides punishment? I stare at the ceiling fan until it forgives me. I want transparency and the kind of ordinary intimacy that doesn't audition for social media. I want to be asked instead of assumed. I want to feel interesting without also feeling exhausted by performing interestingness. I want no more peonies unless they come from a neighbor's yard and are paid for with a favor, not a florist's secret schedule. He writes Lena a message that is not a poem. He shows it to me because I asked. It says, I lied about what I promised my marriage. I told you a story you didn't sign up for. I'm ending this. Please don't argue for me. I'm not an argument. I don't know whether to respect him or throw him in a lake. Celine says both are valid. Try neither. He moves in with his brother. I do the work of not stalking a woman who plays the cello and likes peonies and has a scar by her thumb. I think about how women are taught to duel each other for men who get to keep their swords. I put my sword down sometimes. Sometimes I walk around the apartment holding it just to feel strong. Fig approves. There's a Saturday in September where the city feels like a toaster set to warm, and we meet at a farmer's market like two people trying to remember how to be people. He asks me what I'm reading and I answer in paragraphs because I refuse to be small. He tells me he cried during a commercial, and I don't mock him because apparently I'm evolving. He says I am ashamed, and I say keep it to yourself unless it makes you useful. He nods and hands me a tomato that tastes like July. There's a Tuesday where I write Lena. Yes. Don't at me. I don't write, you ruined my life, because she didn't. My husband mismanaged inventory. I write, I am not asking for an apology. I am asking for silence. Please don't reach out to him again. Please don't make me turn this into a spreadsheet with restraining orders in column C. I hope you play music like your bones are strings. I hope we never speak. She replies with 2 lines. I didn't know the scope of his lie. I won't contact him. I am sorry. I print it and put it in the folder called Facts. I do not open her Instagram. I do not weaponize curiosity. Do you want to know if we survived? Me too. The answer is not a yes you can embroider. It's a series of small, ridiculous Tuesdays. He moved back after 3 months to the guest room with 2 bags and a promise not to narrate remorse like it's his new personality. We made a boring money charter with a woman named Agatha who loves budgets the way gardeners love dirt. The Prestige account was closed, then reopened in my name, which is petty, but I enjoy watching miles pile up for trips I will take with Nisha to a place that doesn't sell peonies on principle. Sometimes, at 3 a.m., I lie awake and talk to the ceiling about Lena's scar. Sometimes, in the middle of a very nice dinner, he will go quiet and I will see a plane in his eyes and I will pass him the salt like a peace treaty. Sometimes he will say, I thought about texting her today, and I will say, thank you for telling me, and we will stand there with the honesty like it's a fresh egg we're not going to drop. Repair is not a montage. It's a chore chart. Tuesday is share a feeling. Thursday is do not become a TED talk about growth. Saturday is kiss like there's no PowerPoint. We fail. We try. We spreadsheet the trying because apparently that's us. If you are where I was, standing over a printer while your cat sits on Bozeman, my only advice is this: write the folder called Facts. Call the friend with the bat. Ask for nouns, not novellas. Make them say the name and the city and the dates. Fancy will try to smother the clean air. Decide what staying would cost you, not what it would save them. Decide what leaving would give you besides silence. Name your wants out loud in a room where the rug has opinions. Don't be gaslit by your own kindness. Tonight I'm making pasta because everything else feels too ceremonial. He's chopping garlic like it owes him money. Fig is supervising, an auditor in fur. The window is open and the neighbor's kid is practicing trumpet badly, bravely. He looks at me like he did on a day before the miles, before the mural with the birds for hair, before the peonies with no baby's breath. Tell me something you didn't tell me last week, he says. It's our new game. I say, I don't want flowers for a while. Buy me plums, heavy ones that make my hands smell like sugar. He nods like I've just revealed a secret to surviving winter. Okay, he says. Plums. No peonies. And I almost laugh, because sometimes the only way forward is to decide you'll be the ones who learn how to love each other without props, without frequent flyer miles, without disaster tourism. Just us. In our small kitchen. Choosing the ordinary again on purpose.